Gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Infantry Gear Review. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Citadel Defense Whittemore 308 chest rig. Now, this is very similar to the Spectre chest rig that I've already reviewed in a past video. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check this one out. This one is specifically made for 5.56 magazines. But this one right here is specifically made for your 308 or 7.62 by 51 millimeter magazines, okay? It also, by the nature of being a 308 magazine, tailored chest rig, it does facilitate the carrying of other magazines, which we'll talk about more in depth here in a little bit, okay? But the chest rig is very similar to the Spectre. There are some differences though. This is a split front chest rig. Now, it's got, what does that mean? It's got two buckles in the front to where you can literally open this up on the front side and take it off just like you would a tactical vest or something along those lines, okay? You don't have to put it on in your traditional manner of putting on a chest rig where you come over the front and buckle it in the rear. It does have that capability. If you leave those buckled, you can obviously put this on going over the front and buckling it in the rear just like your traditional chest rig, okay? Another thing I need to add about the split front is one of the things that people commonly complain about when you're talking about like chest rigs and gear that has pouches and stuff on the front is, hey, they can't get as flat in the prone. But with a split front, you can actually undo the buckles and hey, the gear goes off to the side, kind of like the old Alice belt, and you're able to get as flat as possible on the ground. And when you get back up and you're done, you don't need to be as flat as possible anymore. Hey, you just freaking buckle it back up. And then you're ready to rock and roll, right? The rig itself features two large magazine pouches in the front on each side panel, and then two large general purpose pouches that I'm going to talk about more in depth here in a second, okay? And then it retains with some H-style suspenders, which connect on each side, each panel, and then you have a waist belt or waist strap in the back that goes around the back side, okay? And then obviously two buckles in the front, making it the split front design. So let's get an up close look at this so I can talk about some of the features for you guys so you get a better understanding of what this chest rig has to offer you. All right, let's take an up close look at this chest rig. So here's the split front. As you can see, the straps are sewn to the rig. There's no adjusting the split front straps, okay? If you want to adjust this chest rig, you do it in the back with the waist belt on the back. Moving up here, the harness itself is detachable. Okay, so, you know, guys that are running plate carriers that have panels and stuff, you might be able to tie this into that if you so choose. But your harness absolutely does detach. The hardware on the buckles is tough plastic. You can tell it's mil-spec grade plastic. It's not cheap communist shit from China. The H harness itself, I really like this style of design. My buddy John at UW Gear, he has a very similar style of H straps, and they work very fantastically, guys, and it's just very comfortable. You guys can see it also has Velcro here on the back, so if you want to put a name tape or something along those lines back there. The H straps also have some Molly Powell's webbing right here, so if you want to attach a small pouch like a magazine pistol pouch, you can do so. You can adjust these straps here on the back with these buckles. So again, here's another buckle. So the harness itself can be removed, and that's on both sides. And as you guys can see, you can adjust the straps easily to your specific self. They also have these retaining bands. So you can, you don't have a bunch of strappage flopping around. You can tighten those down to make them look neat and not make excessive noise and whatnot, okay? Let's see, let's go to the magazine pouches themselves. So these are purpose built for 308 7.62 by 51 millimeter magazine pouches, okay? By nature, because you're making a pouch for those larger style magazines, these magazines are going to be pretty universal. They're going to fit a lot of stuff. So what do I mean by that? So they're built for 308 magazines, but hey, because they are built for 308 magazines, you can fit AK mags in here. So here's two 30-round AKP mags for 7.62 by 39. Here's two metal 7.62 by 39 magazines, and you guys can see they fit easily in there. What else could fit in there other than the 308 magazines? Hey, three 5.56 magazines. Now again, this is a pouch designed for 7.62 by 51 millimeter magazines, but because they're larger pouches, that means you can carry these style of magazines in there. Now obviously your flap's going to come a little bit further down, but hey, that's not a, I mean, that's not a turn off at all. But what I'm getting to, guys, is this is a pretty universal pouch just by nature of its design. If you want to put them forward facing like this, like the old Alice pouch, or you can even do sideways, that both works. And you guys can see it comfortably fits in there. Also, it retains with Velcro, but on the side here you have some elastic bands that tighten the magazine to however many magazines in there. Okay, so it's not super tight, but it kind of does keep the pouch a little bit tighter to the magazine to prevent some of that, you know, the jiggling and magazines rattling and whatnot. Okay. If you don't want to run a flap on your magazine pouch, which I'm a big fan of flaps because, you know, as an infantryman, you're constantly crawling, going over stuff, running, and things of that nature. You know, open top magazines, in my opinion, tend to drop magazines, you tend to lose gear with them. So I'm not too terribly fond of open top magazines. I do like the flap, but if you're not a fan of flap magazines, hey, just tug this shit in, guys. Tug it in, and you still have the capability of running these magazines with an open top. Okay, that elastic's gonna pull down on the magazine again and keep it, you know, pretty secure in there. Now if you turn this upside down and start jiggling, or, you know, shaking the shit out of it, are these magazines gonna stay in there? No, absolutely not. They're gonna fall out. Okay, but that's why you use a closed top. But I'm just saying, you do have the capability of doing an open top if you need to. Okay, all right, so purpose-built magazine pouch for 308 style magazines. What does that look like? Well, here's your two typical 7.62 by 51 millimeter magazines. These are P-mags. This is a 25 rounder. Here's a 20 rounder, and you guys can see they fit in there perfectly. Okay, two of them. That's two different sizes, but you guys can see how well they fit inside these magazines. Again, the elastic pulls on them. It keeps them tight down to the pouch itself. Any 308 magazine is going to fit in there, no problem. Here's two FOW magazines. No issues. FOW's in there. I've got a G3 and a SETME mag. These are pretty much the same size and dimensions. Not exactly, but very similar. And you guys can see no issues. Okay, plenty of room for a little bit extra, and then again the elastic tightens down on them. You guys can see how the magazine pouch is pulling in on the magazines itself to keep them tight. So whether it's G3, SETME mags, FOW mags, P mags for, you know, an AR-10 or M1A mags, you're not going to have any issues whatsoever fitting those in for these pouches that are specifically designed for those 7.62 by 51 millimeter magazines. Also want to mention, you guys can see on this material, this is tough. I believe it's 500 denier Cordura material, and then you can just see it has like a waterproof, or not waterproof, but water resistant material to it. So that's going to help, you know, when you're in the elements and, you know, operating in an environment that's pretty severe. That's constantly raining, and if you spend any time out in the woods, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Let's moving on. All right, so on each side, each flank is a general purpose pouch. Now this thing is built a little bit bigger than the pouch on the Spectre. So I got a Spectre rig right here. You guys can see kind of the size comparison. It is bigger than the older Spectre pouch. Now why is that? Is because this was built for, you know, somebody that's carrying a AR-10 style rifle or similar. Okay. Citadel Defense wanted to make this pouch big enough to facilitate the Magpul drums for your 7.62 by 51 millimeter weapons. Okay, so that is why he made this a little bit bigger than the Spectre pouch. But by nature of being bigger, I mean, it's just can hold so much different stuff, guys. Whether that's a small IFAK, or I mean, shit, you could make this whole thing your IFAK if you wanted a bigger IFAK. You know, this is my freaking land nav pouch. You know, I got all kinds of stuff in there for land nav. That can fit in there. I mean, you can just see how much room is in this pouch itself. I also want to check, I haven't tried it yet, but if you're an actual U.S. military serviceman and you're issued the 100-round bandoliers of linked 7.62 by 51 millimeter ammunition, this looks to me, just by eyeballing it, to be the same size as one of those 100-round box bandoliers. So that might fit in there, so that's pretty cool too, because you could fit 2 of those, if you're wearing this while on the service as a grunt. So you guys can see the retention system here is Velcro for the standard flap, okay? But this has options. I'm going to talk about it here in a second. And then it also has a buckle for extra retention. Now, this particular pouch here can double as a canteen pouch. So how do I do that? Well, you guys can see this flap right here. Pull this out, and what do you got? You have a Y-style strap. If you served in the military, or if you've been around military gear, you've probably recognized this configuration. That's the same configuration that's used on the USGI canteen pouch, the current issue ones. Okay, so you guys can see how I have this set up here. All I've done is I've taken that flap, I've tucked it inside the pouch itself, and look, it holds your canteen cup, and all that, and then it secures in place just by the buckle, right? Just like a USGI canteen pouch. Now, this pouch itself has a whole bunch of different features on it, guys. You go on the side, so you can see, just like on the magazine pouch, it has an elastic, a band that helps pull it tighter to whatever's in there. You also have on the side here little elastic bands that are sewed down so that you can put chem lights in there. On this side, you have 2 more elastic bands, and you also have the one that is used to pull tight on the pouch. What does that help? Well, you can put a cat tourniquet in there. You can stick that sucker in there, and that will sit right there on the side of your chest rig, okay? So inside here in this pouch, you have a loop right here, and you also have one down at the base. And since I've got this down there, you guys can see it's got drain holes too on the pouches, all right? That's fantastic when you go in the water. If you've ever had to do a river crossing or anything like that, your gear fills up with water. These drain holes really help pour that stuff out so you're not carrying extra weight on you when you come out on the other side, okay? So anyways, back to this. These loops, what are these good for? Well, if you're running a compass, which you should be, okay, your compass can go inside those loops. Stick this through there so you guys can see what I'm talking about. There we go. All right, you stick your lanyard through there, and then stick your compass, and then boom, your compass is now secured to this. So if you're making a movement through the night, you're crawling, and let's say somehow either this flap comes undone, or this just happens to make its way out through the side or something, hey, your compass ain't going anywhere because it's retained to the gear itself, okay? So easy on and easy off. It's a great little, small feature, but it's there, guys. It's there, and it's absolutely good piece of gear to have in any type of web equipment that you have. All right, back up here at the top here, so Velcro again. What could you put on there? Hey, if this is your IFAC, maybe putting your your medical cross up there, or your blood type, or something along those lines. You can do that with the Velcro. And again, transitioning this from a canteen pouch to a general purpose pouch is easy, right? Here, I got a canteen pouch, right? Need to make it a general purpose pouch. Sticking this through here. And boom, we're back. All right, so easy, guys. Just on the back side of this, you guys can see this retention system. It's got some bungees and a pull tab. Also has this shock cord and core lock here, so you can tighten it or loosen it. So there's a small pouch back here, and it's cut, and I'll talk about this more on the here in a minute, but this specifically is cut to the same width as your magazine. So you can fit an additional magazine back here if you so choose. Okay, so that's 2, 4, 5, and then it has the same thing on the opposite side. So that's 6 total 7.62 by 51 millimeter magazines if you so choose. What else can go back there? You got a radio, you got a PRC 152 or a Baofeng or something along those lines, you can stick that in that pocket back there, and there you go, okay? You also have these two retaining bands here. Again, another loop for, you know, a dummy cord, so you don't lose shit. Let's go ahead and flip this over. On the back is this mesh. So here's that sleeve for your radio, but you also have a mesh pocket. So it's very important to point out that this pocket for either a magazine or your radio, whatever you decide, is separate from this panel altogether. So you can stick a map back here, other, you know, like a 9-line card or something along those lines, your Ride in the Rain notebook, note-taking gear, anything of that nature, you can stick that back here in this panel, easy to access while wearing it on your gear. Let's look at the actual waist strap itself. You guys can see you can adjust the living hell out of it, right? You can adjust it on each side. You can adjust it here in the middle, and this also has elastic, so it helps pull to accommodate, you know, and just make things more comfortable, all right? If you got body armor, you can throw this chest rig over body armor, no problem. Easy to adjust. When you take the body armor off and you want to wear just the chest rig, boom, easy to adjust to that as well. So I think I pretty much point out just about everything, guys. Here's one of the best parts, all right? Here's the tag, Citadel Defense, and what do you got right there? Boom, made in America, all right? So you're supporting the United States of America. Hoorah. Let's see if I forgot anything. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. That is the this 308 chest rig from Citadel Defense in a nutshell. Again, it's very similar to the Spectre chest rig that I've done a review on also. Just top quality gear, guys. It's just fantastic materials, well constructed, well thought out. I encourage you guys to go check it out. He does offer it in different color schemes, so as far as I know, you have an OD, a Coyote, a multicam, and obviously the best pattern ever devised, M81 Woodland camouflage, right? So yeah, that's it, guys. That is the Citadel Defense 308 chest rig. Go ahead and check it out. I will have a link to it in the description box as well as the pinned comment section. That's it, gentlemen. That completes this review of the Citadel Defense 7.62 by 51mm chest rig. If you're liking what you're seeing, don't forget to check out my channel. I've already done several infantry gear reviews, and I plan on doing several more in the future. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment.